This is going to be a hard video to explain. So for all you TikTokers, I'm going to start at the back. So at least you get a little bit out of this. This is a John Dow Industry 20-gallon oil removal tank or something like that. Notice there's two of them sitting here. Well, in the video that I'm going to link to up here, I repaired that one. That one had at the bottom of the tank pinholes everywhere. Sitting upside down, useless. The reason it is useless is this. The old wire brush and grinder out, and I started attacking the bottom, and this is what I found. Now, that doesn't look like rust to me. How about you guys? Don't hear any dull. Now, this round end of this tank's quite common. I think that's called a head. And they heat it up in an oven, a circular disc of flat steel, and they put it into a big press, and it forms that shape. They cut all the round part down here on this seam flush, and then they can weld it to a cylinder. Well, most of the stress that I've seen them do, you know, is in this area, the round curve area. I don't think it draws any steel from this area as they're pressing it. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, you can see light through there. Don wants me to look down inside there and see what I can see. I'll see if I can do that. I don't know why. The whole bottom of that thing looks like it's kind of bad shape. It's never had any water in it. You can see in there the pinholes. It looks like I had a heart attack a couple years ago, and I came home from the hospital, and this was sitting in the grinding room full of used fluids. And I smelled something and walked in, and the bottom of this tank had started leaking and leaked out about 20 gallons of oil and stuff all over the floor of my shop. It had soaked in, so there wasn't anything I could do. In fact, I just shut the door and turned around and went back and got in bed. A little bit later, I went and fixed this by welding another plate on the bottom of it. And it's working okay. Well, a man from John Dow saw that video and contacted me, and he said, we'd like to replace that. And I said, well, I've got it working fine. You know, he said, well, I wish you would have told us we would have replaced it immediately. I said, well, I don't know where the receipt is, and I don't remember, and frankly, I could fix it, so I did. Well, he wouldn't take no for an answer, and so this new unit showed up on my door. I haven't had the time, because all the other projects going on, to put it together and go change the fluid that I needed to change, so I started on it about Friday. It comes almost fully assembled except for the wheels and a couple of the hoses. So I thought 2 minutes would be finished and I could go in and start sucking out the 65, 70 gallons of used hydraulic oil that I've got to remove from the 1943 Rockwood planer. Well, it didn't happen. I couldn't make the thing work. A little gauge up here that's got some a green working area, a yellow, and then a red for over vacuum. Wasn't showing me anything. It would suck about halfway up the tube and stop. So I got frustrated, and I just came back to it today. Now, this tank is a multi-purpose tank. It's got this assembly here that you run shop air through, and it creates a Venturi effect and puts a vacuum into the tank if you have the valves the right way. That vacuum then sucks oil up through this hose here and these adapters into the tank. When you're through or it's full, you shut off that. You take the hose, put it on the other side and pressurize it, and then you can throw it in your truck and take it to a recycle section and open the valve, and it'll empty itself out under pressure, which is really nice. So, as I said, here's part of the video. Well, I might as well tell you the end of it in case you're going to get impatient. I couldn't make it work. Today I went and I got a different air hose to make sure I wasn't having a right pressure but reduced volume of air coming through there, through my air dryer. So I hooked it up. It still wasn't working. So I got to looking around, and I'm comparing apple to apple here. And I look at that gauge, I looked at this gauge, and I noticed that the dang needle was stuck or installed on the wrong side of the peg. It wouldn't let it come open. So that's why I wasn't seeing any indication of a good vacuum over here. It couldn't. I pulled this off. I'll show you. I pulled it off and gently placed the needle on the right side of the peg, gave it some air, and it immediately went up into the green. I was trying this yellow hose here, which is one of the, I think, 5 or 6 that come with it. It's the largest one. And I had this 5 gallons of used diesel engine tractor oil in this bucket, and I just said, oh, I'm going to transport it in this. So I sit there, and it wouldn't suck worth a flip. I mean, it went down this much. It would come up the hose and just kind of sit there. I am getting some more fluid sucking through. I've done everything. I changed hoses. So, I had vacuum. Wasn't a great vacuum, but it was a vacuum. It would suck up to a certain level and then just stop. So I went and got this hose here. The adapters come with it. They just go onto it with a couple of O-rings and slip on. And we had put this short little piece of vinyl tubing on it. And I use it for sucking out and changing oil in lathe heads. Well, it's a 1/2 inch diameter. I stuck it in the barrel, fired it up, and it started going down, at an acceptable rate. That's 5 gallons. It took maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to suck it all in there. But I can handle that. So, I'm happy with it. The repaired one's going to go over to Don's shop because he got some oil and some old machines too, and we'll let him play with that one. John Dow, thank you for sending me the new one. I would just caution you to look at the gauge over before you send it out, because it took me about 3 or 4 hours of worrying and figuring out what the heck was wrong.